In the past, only elites or those with an almost superhuman amount of energy and drive could pursue a career of their choice and master it. A man was born into the military or groomed for the government, chosen among those of the right class. If he happened to display a talent and desire for such work, it was mostly a coincidence. Millions of people who were not part of the right social class, gender, and ethnic group were rigidly excluded from the possibility of pursuing their calling. Even if people wanted to follow their inclinations, access to information and knowledge pertaining to that particular field was controlled by elites. That is why there are relatively few masters in past and why they stand out so much. These social and political barriers, however, have mostly disappeared. Today we have the kind of access to information and knowledge that past masters could only dream about. Now more than ever, we have the capacity and freedom to move toward the inclination that all of us possess as a part of our genetic uniqueness. It is time that the word genius become demystified and de-rarefied. We all are close to than we think to such intelligence. Although we may find ourselves at a historical moment rich in possibilities for mastery in which more and more people can move toward their inclinations, we in fact face one last obstacle in attaining such power, one that is cultural and insidiously dangerous. The very concept of mastery has become denigrated, associated with something old fashioned and even unpleasant. It is generally not seen as something to aspire of. The shift in value is rather recent and can be traced to circumstances peculiar to your times. We live in a world that seems increasingly beyond our control. Our livelihoods are at whim of globalized forces. The problems that we face, economic, environmental, and so on, cannot be solved by individual actions. Or politicians are distant and unresponsive to our desires. A natural response when people feel overwhelmed is to retreat into various forms of passivity. If we don't try too much in life, if we limit our cycle of action, if we can give ourselves the illusion of control, the less we attempt, the less chance of failure. If we can make it look like we are not really responsible for our fate, for what happens to us in life, then apparent then our apparent powerlessness is more palpable. For this reason, we become attracted to certain narratives. It is genetics that determines much of what we do. We are just products of our times. The individual is just a myth. Human behavior can be reduced to statistical trends. Many take this change in a value a step further, giving their passivity a positive veneer. They romanticize the self-destructive artist who loses control of him or herself. Anything that smacks of discipline or effort seems fuzzy and past. What matters is the feeling behind the artwork, and any hint of craftsmanship or work violates this principle. They come to accept things that are made cheaply and quickly. The idea that they might have to expend much effort to get what they want has been eroded by the proliferation of devices to do so much of the work for them, fostering the idea that they deserve all of this, that is their inherent right to have and consume what they want. Why bother working for years to attain mastery when we can have so much power with very little effort? Technology will solve everything. This passivity has ever assumed a moral stance. Mastery and power are evil. They are domain of patriarchal elites who oppress us. Power is inherently bad. Better to opt out of the system altogether, or at least make it look that way. If you are not careful, you will find this attitude infecting you in a subtle ways. You will unconsciously lower your sights as to what you can accomplish in life. This can diminish your level of efforts and discipline below the point of effectiveness. Conforming to your social norms, you will listen more to other than your own voice. You may choose a career path based on what peers and parents tell you or what seems lucrative. If you lose contact with the inner calling, you have some success. You can have some success in life, but eventually your lack of true desire catches up with you. Your work becomes mechanical. Come to life. You come to live for leisure and immediate pleasures. In this way, you become increasingly passive and never move past the first phase. You may grow frustrated and depressed, never realizing that the source of it is your alienation from your own creative potential. Before it is too late, you must find your own way to your inclination, exploiting the incredible opportunities of the age that you have been born into. Knowing the critical importance of desire and of your emotional connection to your work, which are the keys to mastery, you can in fact make the passivity of these times work in your favor and serve as motivating device in two important ways. First, you must see your attempt at attaining mastery as something extremely necessary and positive. The world is teeming with problems. Many of them are our own creation. to solve them will require a tremendous amount of effort and creativity. Relying on genetics, technology, magic, or being nice and natural will not save us. We require the energy not only to address practical matters but also to forge new institutions and orders that fit our changed circumstances. We must create our own world or we will die in from inaction. We need to find our own way back to the concept of mastery that defined us as a species so many millions of years ago. This is not mastery for the purpose of dominating nature or other people, but for determining our fate. The passive ironic attitude is not cool or romantic, but pathetic and destructive. You are setting an example of what can be achieved as a master in the modern world. You are contributing to the most important cause of all, survival and prosperity of human race in time of stagnation. Second, you must convince yourself of the following: people get the mind and quality of brain that they deserve through their actions in life. Despite the popularity of genetic explanations for our behavior, recent discoveries in neuroscience are overturning long-held beliefs that the brain is genetically hardwired. Scientists are demonstrating the degree to which the brain is actually quite plastic, how our thoughts determine our mental brain is a mental landscape. They are exploring the relationship of willpower to physiology, how profoundly the mind can affect our health and functionality. It is possible that more and more will be discovered about how deeply we create the various patterns of our lives through certain mental operations, how we are truly responsible for so much of what happened to us. People who are passive create a mental landscape that is rather barren. Because of their limited experiences and action, all kinds of connections in the brain die off from the lack of use. Pushing against the passive trend of these times, you must work to see how far you can extend control of your circumstances and create the kind of mind you desire, not through drugs but through action. Unleashing the masterful mind within you will be at the vanguard of those who are exploring the extended limits of human willpower. In many ways, the movement from one level of intelligence to another can be considered as a kind of ritual of transformation. As you progress, old ideas and perspectives die off. As new powers are unleashed, you are initiated into higher levels of seeing the world. Consider mastery as an invaluable tool in guiding you through this transformative process. This book is designed to lead you from the lowest level of to the highest. It will help to initiate you into the first step, discovering your life task or vocation, and how to carve out a path that will lead you to its fulfillment on various levels. It will advise you how to exploit to the fullest of your apprenticeship the various strategies of observation and learning that will serve you best in this phase, how to find perfect mentors, how to decipher the unwritten codes on political behavior, how to cultivate social intelligence, and finally, how to recognize when it is time to leave the apprenticeship nest and strike out for yourself, entering the active creative phase. It will show you how to continue the learning process on a higher level. It will reveal timeless strategies for creating problem solving, for keeping your mind fluid and adaptable. It will show you how to access more unconscious and primitive layers of intelligence and how to endure the inevitable barbs of envy that will come your way. It will spell out the powers that will come to you through mastery, pointing you in direction of intuitive insight feel for your field. It will initiate you into a philosophy of way of thinking that will make it easier to follow this path. The ideas in this book are based on extensive research in the fields of neuro and cognitive sciences, studies on creativity, as well as biographies of the greatest masters in history. These include Leonardo da Vinci, the Zen master Hakuin, Benjamin Franklin, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, the poet John Keats, the scientist Michael Faraday, Charles Darwin, Thomas Edison, Albert Einstein, Henry Ford, the writer Marcel Proust, the dancer Martha Graham, the inventor Buckminster Fuller, the jazz artist John Coltrane, the pianist Glenn Gould. To make it clear how this form of intelligence can be applied to modern world, 9 contemporary masters have been interviewed at length as well. They are neuroscientist V.S. Ramachandran, anthropologist linguist Daniel Everett, computer engineer, writer and tech startup mastermind Paul Graham, architect engineer Santiago Calatrava, former boxer and now trained Freddie Roach, robotics engineer and green technology designer Yoki Matsuoka, visual artist Teresita Fernandez, professor of animal husbandry and industrial designer Temple Grandin, the US Air Force fighter pilot Ace Cesar Rodriguez. The life stories of these various contemporary figures dispel the notion that mastery is somehow passe or elitist. They come from all different backgrounds, social classes, and ethnicities. The power they have achieved is clearly the result of effort and process, not genetics or privilege. Their stories also reveal how much mastery can be adapted to our times and the tremendous power it can bring to us. The structure of mastery is simple. There are 6 chapters moving sequentially through the process. Chapter 1 is the starting point, discovering your calling, your life's task. Chapter 2, Chapter 3, Chapter 4 discuss different elements of the apprenticeship phase, learning skills, working with mentors, acquiring social intelligence. Chapter 5 is devoted to creative action, active phase, and chapter 6 to the ultimate goal, mastery. Each chapter is begin with story of an iconic historical figure who exemplifies the chapter's overall concept. The section that follows, keys to mastery, give you a detailed analysis of the phase involved, concrete ideas on how to apply this knowledge to your circumstances, and the mindset that is necessary to fully exploit these ideas. Following the keys is a section detailing the strategies of masters, contemporary and historical, who have used various methods to advance them through the process. These strategies are designed to give you an even greater sense of practical application of the ideas in this book and to inspire you to follow in the footsteps of these masters, showing how their power is eminently attainable. For all the contemporary masters and some of the historical ones, their stories will continue over several chapters. In such cases, there may be a slight repetition of biographical information in order to recap what happened in previous phase of their lives. Page number in parentheses will refer back to earlier narrations. Finally, you must not see this process of moving through levels of intelligence as merely linear, heading towards some kind of ultimate destination known as mastery. Your whole life is a kind of apprenticeship to which you apply your learning skills. Everything that happens to you is a form of instruction if you pay attention. The creativity that you gain in learning a skill so deeply must be constantly refreshed as you keep forcing your mind back to state of openness. Even knowledge of your vocation must be revisited through the course of your life as changes in circumstances force you to adopt this direction. In moving towards mastery, you are bringing your mind closer to reality and to life itself. Anything that is alive is in a continual state of change and movement. The moment that you rest thinking that you have attained the level you desire, a part of your mind enters a phase of decay. You lose your hard-earned creativity and others begin to sense it. This is a power and intelligence that must be continually renewed or it will die. Do not talk about giftedness, inborn talents. One can name great men of all kinds who were very little gifted. They acquired greatness, become geniuses, as we put it, through qualities the lack of which no one who knew what they were would boast of. They all possess the seriousness of effective, efficient work. Man which first learns to construct the parts properly before it ventures to fashion a great whole. They allowed themselves time for it because they took more pleasure in making the little secondary things well that in effect of a dazzling whole. Friedrich Nietzsche.